It looks like the EU has taken America's political infighting in its stride, with a massive declaration of support for Ukraine. Josep Borrell, the EU's High Representative for Foreign Affairs, has said that the bloc remains committed to Ukraine's defeat of a brutal and inhumane Russia. I do wonder how Hungary and Slovakia will factor into this. Hungary has consistently acted in opposition to the EU's Ukrainian efforts, and with Slovakia soon to get a pro-Putin leader, will they join Hungary in their opposition? Either way, it was confirmed that the EU has proposed a bilateral envelope worth €5 billion for Ukraine's armed forces. EU countries would train 40,000 soldiers, provide special training for fighter pilots, and deepen ties between EU and Ukrainian defense companies. His comments came after EU foreign ministers held talks with Volodymyr Zelenskiy. Apart from meetings at the United Nations, it was the first time they had gathered outside EU territory and the first informal summit to take place in a war zone, so that is positive. But will cooler heads prevail, or will we have an EU version of the meltdown we just experienced in the American Congress? God knows, there are enough opponents in the EU to ensure this pledge never sees the light of day. The pledge of further EU military assistance will improve morale in Ukraine after a period that has been stained by external political setbacks. If not actually in hand, the belief that people care will be motivating. On Sunday, Joe Biden pressed congressional Republicans to back a deal to provide more aid to Ukraine after provisions for Kyiv were left out of a bill to avoid a U.S. government shutdown. But that's not going to happen, not when Congress is currently in the throes of a very messy speaker contest. There has also been significant American criticism over the slow pace of Ukraine's summer counteroffensive, with zero reference to what the poor Ukrainian soldiers must endure on a continual basis, and frankly the complete lack of support to get the job done, with most critics believing that the drip-feeding of antiquated machinery would somehow result in victory. It's also painfully obvious that these very same critics base their knowledge of such things on the speed with which America deals with its enemies and its superb use of top-of-the-range equipment and inter-service cooperation, the likes of which no one else in the world possesses, let alone Ukraine. On Monday, Zelensky told EU foreign ministers that Ukraine's ability to defeat Russia on the battlefield depended on the support it received from allies. Our victory directly depends on our cooperation. The more strong and principled steps we take together, the sooner this war will end, he said. The slow drip-feeding of equipment and money is indicative of those wanting to drag things out rather than see them ended. Perhaps the tinfoil hat brigade was correct. Maybe a never-ending war in Ukraine is exactly what the White House and Congress want. In stark contrast to America that could actually do this quicker and with the numbers necessary to make the difference, the Netherlands and Denmark have pledged to supply Kyiv with F-16 jets, a move that would make it easier for Ukraine's land forces to advance. Easier, but not easy at all. The F-16s are not invulnerable and will be juicy targets for the Russian jets and anti-air forces. Ukraine is hoping for further commitments including Taurus long-range cruise missiles from Germany, and ATACMS missiles from the US, which once again took more than a year to be promised but which undoubtedly will take months to deliver as that country continues to stall on its commitments to world peace and stability. Either way, the next few months are going to be critical for Ukraine. The offensive will stop as winter sets in, and it will be a time for consolidation and reflection on what happens next. In the future, I don't see America being present at the table, and only a strong and undivided EU will be standing with Ukraine in its fight with the clear existential threat that is Russia.